Hi, everybody.
Hello.
For the new faces, welcome. And for people that have been here prior to, welcome back. We appreciate you.
There's lots of y'all now.
Yeah.
Even compared to a week ago.
It's kind of wild. This video is going to be about Mythos and Mythoi.
Yes.
JD, what are those?
So Mythoi is your legend or your hero or your inspiration for it's where you get your powers from.
And the Mythos.
The Mythos is your powers directly. It is your Mythos theme. And in character, you never refer to them as Mythoi or Mythos or anything like that because your character doesn't know the difference. But for reference, that's what they're called. And the character themselves is a rift.
And
usually,
kind of mentioned before, there's different steps in this.
Yep.
I'm going to call it rifticism because it sounds cool.
Awakening.
Oh. Touched.
Yeah.
Borderline, all that jazz. We went over this.
3 of one, one of the other, 2 of 2, that kind of thing. Yeah.
1 and 3.
But yeah, this one's going to be about the different themes for Mythos, all the ones from the book, and then if we have enough time, we're going to hit the ones from Shadows and Showdowns very quickly, because those are a little bit fringe and a little bit neat, but yeah.
So right off the bat, we're going to go right into it, and we're going to start talking about adaptation. Adaptation, what that is it's the ability to adapt to any situation. This would be what your Mythos is. So right off the bat, somebody that comes right to mind would be good old Darwin.
Darwin from the X-Men. His body instantly, unconsciously adapts to fit any situation. If he's in space, he doesn't have to breathe. If he's in fire, suddenly he's made of fire, or he's resistant to fire. Like,
what if he was petroleum?
He's literally unable to die.
Right. Well,
we're not going to talk about the cinematic universe. But that's one way to do it. Adaptation's also, you have a book of spells, and inside your book of spells, you are able to adapt to any situation. You look at Doctor Strange. There we go.
Who's that? I'm kidding.
Yeah, Doctor Strange would be a perfect adaptation, and also expression, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I feel like adaptation would be his first one, especially old Doctor Strange.
I never read a lot of Doctor Strange.
Old Doctor Strange was weird. He literally was like a Swiss Army knife, and we go, I have a spell for that, which is what adaptation is. He was super strong.
Being able to adjust to any situation for survivability.
And it can be outside of you in something like a spell book that you use, or just the spells, or it can be your own body adapts, that kind of thing. Which segues pretty good into Bastion, which is your Mythos is powers that protect you or your Mythoi's agenda.
So right off the bat, when I kind of think of stuff like this, I mean, the first one that comes to mind will be kind of like the Hulk a little bit. Yeah. I think a really good example of this, aside from like the Hulk, would be, honestly, I think Colossus is a good one.
Is the amazing example.
And because his ability to change his body into this biosteel, because it's not a specific type of metal. When he is in this form, he doesn't need to eat, he doesn't need to sleep, he doesn't even need to breathe oxygen. All of these, you can kind of look at this Mythos as Bastion. His ability change his body to steel, right? And then within those tags that kind of fall below that, you would have the ability to not eat and not sleep. Anytime you're looking at any of these Mythos, though, you're going to want to answer one question right off the bat.
The question for all of them is a little bit different. What it boils down to essentially is, for each theme, what is your Mythos' most impactful defining feature? How is it most often expressed or utilized?
Maybe you say, what is its core benefit?
Yeah. Another one for Bastion. Wolverine, anything with a healing factor is Bastion. Impenetrable defense is Bastion. The inability to be damaged or die is Bastion. Moving on from that one, we have Divination, which is the ability to sense the world and grasp anything in the world beyond what a normal person would be able to do, whether that be some kind of senses or you have visions or anything. It's more than you should.
Yeah, I would look at these as kind of like your clairvoyance kind of people and characters being able to like see into the future.
Yes.
Or Neo, dude. Or
Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes.
Well, yeah, but he has the power of, damn it, there's a word that they use, power of deduction.
Yes, deduction, but that is a sense that most normal people would never have, so it would be a type really of divination. Cool. Yeah. I think that would fit in.
Oh no, that 100% would work. You could use that for a Mythoi. Yeah. Sherlock Holmes. Oh, that's a good one. Man, so many different characters I want to play out in this game. But anyways, after Divination, moving on, we have Expression. I've kind of mentioned this before in other videos. Expression is basically the ability to change the world overtly in extraordinary ways around you. So being able to basically kind of control weather, create electricity, create fire.
The big thing with Expression is it's not you are manipulating everything else. Magneto, Storm, Neo would be Expression even. Like anybody who manipulates things outside of themselves is Expression.
Adjusting the world around you to make things happen for you.
Or easier for you.
One thing to mention, and this is a perfect point to do so, is a lot of these Mythos themes are going to kind of like, well, it could be this way, or it could be that way. It's
a little bit of both. It could be either.
But which one is dominant?
They overlap. Which way do you want to make dominant? Which way do you want to go with it? X-Men, I think, are good examples of each one because X-Men have from us talking about it earlier at length, X-Men usually fall into, they have one. But it allows them to have two, but that one allows them to do everything in their game.
Exactly. And that's kind of, that's fine. After that, we have mobility. So
this is a weird one.
This one's weird because you can use this specific theme realistically in different ways. You can use mobility in a theme realistically with something that may be a relic. But at the core of it, the base of it all, what this really is the ability to travel from one place to another beyond natural means.
And I think that's the biggest thing with mobility is it has to be something the character themselves is physically able to do.
100%.
Because once we talked about it and everything, making portals, they actually made one for that in Shadows and Showdowns. It's Conjuration. You conjure portals. Mm-hmm. It like 100%. I can see the devs going, wait, we want to do this. That would be mobility, but that doesn't work with the questions. What if we do it this way? No, it doesn't work with the questions. So then they ended up making Conjuration. I can see that happening because mobility is the power of flight, the power of super speed,
reflexes,
walking on water. I mean,
here's one for you. What would you think it would be if you had the ability to turn into a liquid and then get through things?
Adaptation
with a mobility twist.
With a mobility
falls
twist.
Back to the could it be? Is it?
I'm phasing through walls, melding into the earth and traveling that way. Walking through plants. That's all that falls into mobility. Relic's the next one. Relic is a little bit different too. Relic and Familiar are very similar, and Enclave. Your character does not have the power. The power doesn't come from the character. The power comes from the item or the place or the animal on those. Relics can be anything.
It can be a rock. It could be a cell phone. It could be anything.
This can be a relic.
That's
loud. This can be a relic.
It's your spell book.
Literally anything can be a relic. Whenever they're inactive, they don't look any different than a mundane item.
Nope, because the mist shrouds it all.
Once they're activated, they can be used as to whatever they turn into or whatever they're doing. But normally they just look like anything else.
Things that come to mind that fit this category really well would be something kind of like Excalibur. Again, I've said it like a broken record. Ring from Green Lantern.
Green Lantern ring, the Holy Grail, an enchanted suit of armor.
Yep. The whole thing essentially being you as a character do not have power. Your item does.
Any sentient item from Dungeons and Dragons could be one.
Yeah.
Any enchanted item from Dungeons and Dragons could be one with a little bit of a twist on it. The last one is Subversion. Subversion is one of those with some gray area in it. It blends with no mobility in some situations. Mm-hmm. It blends with expression in some situations.
The whole point realistically being, for the lack of a better word, it's your sneaky, deceptive, I want to do things and I don't want this other character or NPC to know that I'm doing it.
You're the rogue, but you're not just a rogue.
Right, because, I mean, I was like, well, rogues can't go invisible. I'm like, that is so far from the truth with cloaks of invisibility.
The rogue would fall more under the training. This is all of the special abilities that something like, I don't know.
Being able to sweet talk somebody.
Sure.
Being able to kind of manipulate
all the charm, all the mind control.
Perfect example of it, Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, all the charm falls under this. All the mind control falls under this. All the I can sneak through the shadows falls under this. Literally anything that's sneaky or deceptive or hidden falls under this.
What if you are playing a character that has ability to disappear in shadows, right? But you also have the ability to essentially teleport from shadow to shadow.
Moving from shadow to shadow still falls under subversion.
Yeah. Look at that.
A little bit of overlap there. So those are all the ones from the player's guide. The next ones are from Shadows and Showdowns. We did have a request for this, and it'll pop up here somewhere. They were asking about Conjuration and Destiny specifically, but we figured we'd just cover all of them since we're covering all these.
So Conjuration, kind of like everything cliche you can almost think of, like when you think of D&D, when you've got your wizard summoning something or a creature out of nothing.
But limited. Conjuration, the way that it's in that book is you have the ability to summon a being or an object from nothing. Or you can manipulate, in a weird way, you can manipulate the ground and summon elementals from the ground or whatever. But it also is very limited in scope. So if you want to say you can summon weapons, cool, that's all you can summon. If you want to summon the dead, cool, you can summon the dead, but you can't summon anything else.
And this is all probably going to be pulled from the fact that it has to be a little more narrow, because if it's not narrow, again, you can just completely break this game.
Yeah. I have a Conjuration theme. It allows me to summon stuff. Cool, what can you summon? Anything I want. No.
How about a fire elemental? All right, we're going somewhere.
Cool. Elementals. Great. There has to be something in the environment that you can pull those from. Done. That's perfect. That's great. Somebody has a cigarette. Cool. You can make a little tiny fire elemental.
Dancing around.
Yeah, why not? And as it sets more stuff on fire, it can get bigger.
Not snowball effect, but fireball thing?
Yeah, like that would be really cool. I almost want to skip the next one and come back to it because I feel like it's the biggest one.
Okay.
So we'll come back to Destiny at the very end because I feel like it's a big one. Enclave is very unique as well. Locations that exist outside or alongside current reality or places of power hidden from normal people.
This is going to be places that come to mind like Camelot. Atlantis, although some would argue that it's a real place. It's fine. I'm going to say that it's real happened.
It might have been.
Places like that. All the fantasy worlds. Narnia.
Narnia is a great enclave.
That's a perfect one.
Let's go back to comic books. The Batcave is an enclave. The Fortress of Solitude is an enclave.
Yeah, the only difference being that realistically, the Batcave isn't what gives Batman his abilities.
No,
right?
but if your Mythoi is Batman,
there you go.
Then your Mythos could be the Batcave, and that could be your enclave, and you are the only person that can access that, but you can bring your friends with you and that kind of thing.
This is going to be the one that also kind of like filters back into like Relic, because I mean, in my opinion, it's a little similar.
This one's weird. We had a long discussion.
The only difference being that it's more of a living creature, and this is familiar. So what this is, it's real animals that have been touched by the power of a fantastical creature. For example, let's say I have a little dogo running around, and I want this familiar to be, what would his Mythoi be? I'm going to go Cerberus. Yeah. Something like that.
He's a guard dog. Cool. He's now Cerberus. That being said, if that is the only Mythos theme that you have one Mythos theme and it's familiar. The character has no powers.
Nope. The
familiar has all the powers. Same thing with Relic. Same thing with Enclave, which is a really weird one to think about, because Enclave is a type of conjuration and it can have people in it that can leave the. Oh yeah, it gets weird. But the familiar has the powers, not the character. There is a neat way where you could. I want to play an animal, and everything, like, I'm a familiar first, and then everything else follows that.
You could also, if you wanted to spin it, another good example would be like, okay, well, I want to be, I don't know, I'm going to take Atreyu, for example, out of Neverending Story. Mm-hmm. And you've got this character that has these abilities that were given to him through like his tribe and stuff like that. But then maybe you take on your second one and you do want to take that familiar. And let's say you want to go with Falcor.
Why not?
Because Falcor can fly. He's brilliant. Mm-hmm. He's smart. And going that way, I feel it's going to open you up to a little bit more role playing.
Yes.
Because if you take familiar as your primary, you can. You basically are the creature or the entity or the animal.
It's harder to do that way. It's a little bit more complicated. There is a really good example of this that we talked about. Aragon, not the movie, the books, is a great example of this because 100%, if he was a City of Mist character, his first mythos would be the dragon. Cool, he has a little lizard and it turns into a dragon. He has the powers of a dragon, whatever. His second one would be whenever he learns his magic and his expression and all that stuff and is able to express these abilities on the world. And then the last one would be Destiny because, without spoilers, he is a chosen one, kind of.
I never read the books.
I know, you need to.
I literally haven't.
Setting it up to where familiar is your first one is really difficult, but familiar being your second or your third one is super easy because it's like, yeah, cool. I want to have a mount that I can ride into battle, or I want to have a companion that's a guard dog.
That's not to say you can't do it. We were trying to wrap our heads around good ways to do it.
There's a few weird ones.
And there's some ones that work, but I was like, well, if you always have it as like the secondary, if you want to take that one, it just makes a little bit more sense. Mm-hmm. Give us your opinion in the comments below. How would you work a familiar as a primary, as a first mythos?
Because we do have a couple of good examples of it, but they're very limited.
Yeah. So, Destiny, Prophecy, Curse, you are the chosen one.
It's your fate. You are destined to do the thing. It's your family's fate. It's a legacy thing.
So aside from having kind of like this pre-written like destiny essentially that you can have, there's one thing that kind of fits into here too that is kind of cool. It's the ability to manipulate destiny and chance too, like Domino.
Oh, Domino.
Perfect example of it.
And not directly either. It just happens.
She's just lucky.
It just happens. Everything around her, she's just destined to be lucky. There's also a good example in the book where you have contagious, uncontrollable bad luck, and everything around you is unlucky.
That's a good one.
So you're unlucky, but all your enemies are unlucky too.
That's good.
Which is kind of cool and would be a very cool drunken master kind of thing. That being said, that should be all of them.
Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. The amount of attention we've been getting lately is super awesome. We encourage you to engage in conversations in the comments section, please, on our Twitter and all that good stuff. Until next time, everybody, stay awesome, be excellent, and please love each other. We're out. Peace.
Yeah, because, we get stuff wrong sometimes.
100%.
Last time we got something wrong.
This is part of the journey.
Yeah.
This was great.
That's why I love the comments section.
Exactly.
That's why everybody out there needs to comment and tell us what we got wrong.